This is a show with cartoons on it. If you use a cartoon as a news source, you need your head checked.
The reasoning why we're even in this situation in the first place is due to the fact that the right and Republicans, they saw no interest in pop culture as a whole and everything because they saw it as being nothing but a waste of time. That's why they never invested in it, while the left saw how the country was going and everything, seeing this stuff getting as big as what it ended up becoming. And they took their time investing into it. That's why whenever the times when we should have gate kept, that was during a time where like people who do like video games, anime, and all that didn't have too many people to discuss it with. So as soon as you meet somebody else, it's like, oh, somebody else that's into the same thing I am. Yeah, of course I'll talk to you about it. That's where it all stems from, is the fact that one side saw it as nothing but a waste of time, waste of money, and whatnot. Then the other side supposedly went open arms, was like, hey, we will accept you for liking this stuff because we like this stuff, until they use it to stab you in the back with it.
Well, creatively speaking, folks, from a political perspective, creatively speaking, the left have always been more creative than the right, because that's the nature of progressing forward. You know, tradition doesn't like changing things. But before we continue, money, folks, money. Ooh. You know, one thing that we can all agree on. Thank you to Roadkill for a nearly $10 donation, in which you say, Michelle Obama made me donate with her big brown snow cone.
I was going to say, Roadkill, I think you misspelled Michael.
Yeah. You know, to what you were saying there, Roger, too, I mean, even now, there are many Republicans or conservatives that push back on gamer culture. Let's take a look at, for example, Matt Walsh.
I was about ready to bring up Matt Walsh, because he's literally the same age as probably most of us here, being in like his early 30s. Yet he talks like he's a 60-year-old.
Well, that's the big issue, Roger. Ideologically speaking, when you have a group of people whose foundation is in tradition, traditional people don't create anything.
Exactly.
That's why for thousands of years in human history, in recorded human history, barely anything changed, right? Well, I'll give you one thing in regards to the left. They know how to change things, for better or for worse. They know how to change
things. Here's the thing about these people is, you know, I hate when they argue with us about video games, because the same person will sit there and binge watch a Netflix show for 8 hours and say that it's not a waste of time, or sit there all day long watching football game after football game back to back. That's not a waste of time. But the minute that you log into a video game, you're wasting your time. Look, I pay my bills. I pay what I have to into this rigged system. I take care of my business. How I choose to engage in my downtime is my business. And the right has not figured this out to this day. I still have people who pop into my streams once in a while on Rumble and on other platforms and go, video games are for kids. They're just a waste of time. Well, you're wasting your time arguing with me about it while I'm playing my game.
Exactly.
Yeah, tell me it's a waste of time when you come to watch me and tell me it's a waste of time. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing people need to understand, right? You have to put it in an ideological way to appeal to ideologues. So let me put it this way to the conservative right: video games are a waste of time. The industry is bigger than the movie industry. And the games industry is financially bigger than the movie industry. For all the flops that we see in the games industry, it makes a heck of a lot of money, especially in the mobile gaming market. Every phone is potentially a conduit for finances. And that's why Jared Kushner is working with the Saudi authorities to buy EA for $55 billion US. Because EA, for all of its faults, and it has so many faults, has so many franchises that they have on the shelf that could easily be monetized if they were properly organized. And for right-leaning people, you put it in a financial way, because economic conservatism is not creative, but it loves to make money, right? And that's the thing. And if you want to put it in a left-wing way, look at all these great video game companies. Look at all of these great franchises. Look at all of these entry points to push your ideology forward. Nationalize all of these companies in a strong command and control state. And that's how you appeal to people within the political zeitgeist, not to normal people. If you want to talk to normal people about gaming, it's like, it's a good game. You get to shoot aliens. You get to enjoy a nice virtual lady, Cortana, and you'll enjoy the franchise that way. That's why people need to understand. Everyone within this space is an avatar of their ideas, whether you like to admit it or not. When you do this often enough, you learn a lot, and a lot is imprinted on you. So the next time a conservative tells you that you're wasting your time playing video games, remind them how much money is in this fucking industry, and realize and make them realize they ain't making a dime doing it. In fact, it's gotten so insane that game developers are moaning about it now. Content creators are making more money streaming games than game devs are making them. That's how successful the new digital market economy is, and you should be praising that and supporting that, especially if you're an economic conservative. Okay? Let's get Rhoda's perspective now.
Yeah, and the idea, like, look, to go back to the actual topic,
we've moved on now. I got my middle timestamp, so yeah, we just evolve topics. But you can talk about it if you want.
Okay, but if games are supposed to be like influencing like violence and things, then what about going to school and going to history class? What about someone was talking about sports? What about watching a hockey game? Isn't hockey extremely violent? Let's perhaps we should ban hockey sticks. Perhaps we should ban history lessons, although I suppose a lot of people in politics do actually want to ban history lessons, so that's a completely different subject. But you get where I'm going with this. It's like, if they can't blame one thing, they'll blame another, and if they can't blame that, they'll blame another. At some point it's going to be wildlife documentaries, because you see a tiger killing a mongoose or something, and then like, oh look, that fairy went out and started biting a cow. He must have watched the wildlife documentary of the tiger killing the mongoose. So we need to ban wildlife documentaries.
It's the same mindset.
Yeah, it's just like a play for censorship. It's that's all it's about. It doesn't matter what the subject is. It's just control. It's just censorship, and we need to rise above it as customers and do what the hell we want.
Look, I'm not against an organized command and control society, folks, as long as it works. And most of the time, it doesn't work. And the Soviet Union proved that, right? They over-organized themselves so much that it created an administrative nightmare to the point where they couldn't run their civilization without killing lots of people in the process. Right? I am not against organized societies, as long as they work. And they don't work, because the bigger the damn society, the harder it is to organize. That's why the Americans...
Which goes right back to what we were saying a while ago with too many meetings to decide how many meetings to decide how many meetings to decide what we're going to have the meetings about.
And that's why I think it's very important for people to realize that the smaller the society is, the easier it is to organize. That's why smaller states with smaller populations are much easier to govern than bigger states with more people to govern. The United States is very rare in that it was a build your own country with no real root, right? It built its own roots over hundreds of years instead of developing over thousands of years like other countries like England or Japan, to name but a few, or Egypt for that matter. And I think it's very important for people to realize that video games do not cause violence, right? Violence causes violence.
Absolutely.
Right? Violent rhetoric also inspires violent actions. It's not a direct correlation, folks, but it is there. When Hassan Piker makes a statement that supports violent rhetoric, it aids in the development of violent actions. When Kamala Harris tells folks to fight fire with fire, and then a church is set on fire in Michigan, violent rhetoric creates the potential for violent actions. And that is why there is no place for political violence in our society. Of course, freedom of speech and freedom of expression needs to be protected. The red line is incitement to violence because it creates political violence. And if there's enough political violence, the entire world will turn into the Middle East and we will never know any peace. Okay? RFK Jr., video games didn't really exist when your uncle was president, and look what happened to him.
I mean,
if video games caused violence, President Kennedy wouldn't have been assassinated.
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
Simple as that, right? The games industry was barely an infant when Reagan was nearly assassinated. Video games didn't kill Reagan or try to kill Reagan. It's just this same means to an end nonsense. Realize it is a scapegoat, and you guys have got to realize this right here, right now. This is a booming industry. It's not going to fade away, and that is why it's now more than ever it needs to be supported. The more lucrative the industry, the more it can drive prosperity, the more it should be supported. But based on that logic, we'd still have slavery. Slay, what do you make of this topic before we have future plans? Because that slavery was very profitable. Imagine buying a person for the amount of a car. Well, you're going to do that when Optimus goes on sale for $20,000. Then it'll wake up and kill you. Slay, what do you make of this topic before we go to future plans?
And it feels like a bit of deja vu for me. Like, this is where Republicans start to lose any trust that they started to gain from me. And it's been happening for as long as I've been living. I was a kid during the satanic panic when the conservative Christian right was going after video games and rock music.
Well, Slay, why don't we make this gentleman's agreement with the boomer conservatives, right? They don't censor games, and we let them bomb one Middle Eastern country.
Well, it's not all
disgusting. Tangent Kings of New Age. A story